Right, okay, let's crack on then. So hello everybody. Thank you for joining us today, for taking a bit of time out from your sort of daily routine for this Insights Time webinar with me, Rich Berrisford, BDM here at Giant Finance, and as ever joined by Mike Boswell. Mike, how you doing?
Fantastic, and pleased to see that there's a few people at work like us, because there's a lot off with it being half-term week, etc. Well, in the Midlands, it's certainly the half-term week. So, yeah, thank you very much for everyone for coming on.
Yeah, half term, it's always a bit quiet, isn't it? Sort of people are off looking after the kids on holiday. So you sort of expect it to be a little bit quieter out there. And yeah, so it certainly has been for me this week. You were out playing golf, Mike, weren't you, recently as well for work? I should ask.
Yeah, tapping up some introducers for all their for more introductions, etc. So call it networking, leave it at that. All right.
Yeah. Excellent. Good stuff. Like I said, thank you for joining us rather for this webinar, which I think is focusing on reporting today. So I'll skip forwards in the slides. We're focusing on reporting. So I think we're probably going to be feeding in from a lot of the previous webinars we've done over the last 3 years. I'm not even sure how long we've been doing this now, but quite a while. So I think some of the subjects we've covered is going to be a bit of overlap, because we're kind of just doing a broad brush approach on this and just trying to give a bit of sort of advice on the reporting that we think is going to be useful if you're setting up a business in recruitment, if you've got an established business, something that's going to allow you to sort of keep the ship steady, so to speak. So just very briefly, we're going to be looking at a few points. So we've got knowing your numbers first, which we'll come on to shortly. We're going to look at some key reports to manage a recruitment business. We'll take a look at the importance of data and having the right tech platforms and what that can do for your business, and a few pointers there. And then how we at Giant Finance help our clients to stay on top of their business, what tools we sort of make available, the support that we put in place for our clients, and how that can help them.
And Rich, I think a point to bring out at the beginning about knowing your numbers. Yeah, we've covered this before with new startup sort of information, etc. But even when you work for a large organization, really important when you actually start up and set up on your own, a sale is not completed until the money's in the bank. Yeah. And again, if you have that mentality as well, when you work for a large organization, because I know if you work, there'll be clawbacks if the customer fails to pay at the end of the day on your gross margin reports, which you probably get bonused on and measured on. So it's very, very important that you do keep an eye on and think about the people we're dealing with. Am I going to get paid? Have they got the ability to pay us? And yeah, the sale is not completed until the invoice is paid and you've got the money in your bank account. So just bear that in mind when we work through this.
Yeah, we've said it before. It's a really important point worth making again, and that sort of feeds into the is your cash flow healthy question, which is the first point here. And cash flow, it's kind of the lifeblood of a business, isn't it? Again, something we've said time and time again. Regardless of the sector, regardless of the industry, we're looking at recruitment obviously here, but regardless of the industry, if you haven't got cash in the bank and money there available to cover your overheads, then you're going to struggle, and it will only be a matter of time. So making sure that cash flow is healthy is crucial, and like you said, Mike, a sale is not a sale until you've got the money in the bank.
Yeah, I mean, this snapshot on the right hand side is what we give our clients as a Halo system. Yeah. It's a state-of-the-art invoice finance reporting system. So basically you can see, the pie chart on the right shows you who owes you the most amount of money, etc. And it's always really important to know, your MI report, so that you know who's making you the money. Have you got a spread of business? Because you're too reliant on one customer, have you got a business if you lose that customer? Through to, actually, are you making money? And it's really, really important to keep an eye on this, because again, what this will do as well is it'll say, are you dealing with people that, are you extending a lot of credit out to people who haven't realized where, is that credit wise? Have they got the wherewithal to pay? If it's a brand new company, should you have 50% of your receivables at any one time out to a brand new startup company? We obviously do. We've spoken about it a lot before. We offer bad debt protection, so if the customer doesn't pay, we claim off insurance and you get your money back. It's really, really important that you keep an eye on your business from a protection point of view, and B, what's paying the bills and what's making you the money. Okay, so right from upfront, are you getting into bed with people who will pay you? Okay, through to who owes you what and who's bringing in who's making you the money.
Yeah. You set up a business for a reason, don't you? You want to make money, but you want to grow the business. It's about growth, and the MI reports, management information reports, are going to be crucial to that, and knowing where that money is coming from, and we'll touch on some of the other points further down the line, but knowing where sales are growing as well, because without that you could be focusing on completely the wrong part of the business. If something is if you've got high volumes with a certain client but the margins are low, then are you wasting your time? And having information and reporting on those margins and using these MI reports is going to be crucial, because you want to grow this bit. Presumably you want to grow your business and get to a sort of stable platform. So having reporting function like this, Mike, you mentioned this screen that you can all see on the right hand side is part of the sort of the tech stack that we offer to our clients, and it just gives great visibility. I love demoing Halo. I love showing it to our clients and saying, look, we can give you a snapshot of your ledgers, of your sales at any point in time, and it just gives you that sort of oversight of your business at any point in time.
And also, when you're on the treadmill of doing the weekly management of a temp agency, or even if it's perm stuff, you've got a million and one things to do, and suddenly you think, hang on a second, I thought that really good customer, they don't, hang on, where are they?
They're not paying
on the reports.
What?
So it may be that they've just gone quiet and they haven't had anything, but actually, have you been give you the prompt? Have you been in contact with them? Is there something going on with that customer? Are you losing the customer? And so you can jump on things and just be proactive rather than reactive.
Yeah. And one of the points that I've mentioned there is tap into the knowledge of experts, and by that I just mean you're gonna have a kind of a suite of suppliers as a rule. So you may have an accountant who's going to be able to do a lot of this for you, but are you getting feedback from them? Are you sort of making the most of that particular expertise? You may have CRM systems, suppliers like ourselves, invoice finance providers. We've got the expertise. We know this particular part of the industry. We know the reporting side of it. We have another reporting suite as well that it basically can generate any report that you require. We've got the ability to sort of map that out. So as long as the data's in the system, we can pull off a report based on that data for you. So using that expertise, using the tech that's available is really important. And as a recruiter, recruitment, the business development side, you know how to do all that, but you may have been coming from a bigger sort of corporate recruitment model who has got all the tech, all the software, the CRMs, the databases that you've just been relying on. You set up on your own. Do you need all that? Do you need the expense of going out and buying a CRM on day one and buying an ATS? Spending money that you may not necessarily want to spend, when you can sort of utilize providers like ourselves, the systems that we provide that will do the job for sort of without the massive outlay. It may well be that you can run things on a sort of slightly tighter scale, but having that insight available and just working a bit smarter is gonna pay dividends in the long run.
Yeah, I think we've also seen, Rich, a lot of new startups, and they're focused in an area whereby I've got to get my CRM right, etc. And then the next thing is they're dealing with neutral vendors or with local authorities, whereby you've got to put everything on their portal. And so actually, majority of this CRM, other than getting stuff off job boards, you actually probably may not even be using. So, I think, you really need to be concentrating on what pays the bills, i.e. getting on people's panels and on the neutral vendors list, so you can actually trade rather than a CRM system, because a CRM system, if there's nothing to go into it, doesn't give you anything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we'll move on slightly in terms of the sort of the types of reports that are going to be valuable and useful. So this is by no means an exhaustive list. This is what works for one may not work for another. So we're just sort of trying to give a bit of a broad brush approach here that we think is going to be useful for from startup recruiters to sort of bigger sort of SME size. These are the sorts of things that will be familiar to you all. So very, very briefly, as we've got productivity insights, and that's obviously more on the recruitment side of things. So we won't touch on that too much, but things like your jobs boards that you're probably spending a lot of money on at the minute, because they have got very expensive by all accounts, and the sort of conversion rates that are coming off the back of that. Like I said, if you were working for a bigger corporate who has all of these jobs boards and databases at your disposal, fantastic, that might have been working well. But if you then move to set up on your own and sort of run a slightly smaller, tighter ship, you don't necessarily need them. So it could be that it's all coming from LinkedIn or Facebook. You're getting these roles from your existing contacts. So do you need to be spending that money? And then revenue, something we touched on earlier about where are your sales growing. So that's something that our systems will be able to give really valuable insight on. But there's also a myriad ways to find that information. But making sure that you're focusing on like the clients that are going to be growing. You easily get bogged down in the day-to-day of processing payrolls or chasing timesheets, and the BD side of it may get neglected, but it's easy to lose track of and lose focus on where you should be spending your time. And if you're focusing on the wrong sorts of clients who aren't going to be giving you the business you need, the business may suffer as a result, and you're going to be wasting time for not a lot of revenue growth there. So it's all about making sure you're focusing on the right area of your business, and likewise margins. Your volume may be good, but if the margins are small, then is it worth it? You may have a client that you're only placing one or two candidates with a quarter or a year, but the margins are much more lucrative for you. So that's the sort of area that you want to be spending your time.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old one. Turnover's vanity, profit is sanity. Yeah. Okay, so that's the old maxim. And if you are a high volume, low margin, there's many people run that model. But again, make sure you protect yourself, because the only problem with running on a very small margin business is one bit that goes wrong takes the money for a heck of a lot else. And so again, that's where our bad debt protection comes in, because some people say, oh, I can't afford to pay for it. Yeah, but if you just have one bad debt on one small debtor a year, you then are not making any money. So you've really got to make a look at it. And then obviously also your gross profit, and again that comes into what are you spending your money on? Do you really need a really expensive CRM? Are you getting maximum out of it? Because otherwise you're eating out your profit all the time. And we've got quite a number of clients actually don't use front-end CRMs. We have a lot that do, and basically as long as your CRM can export CSV files, we can usually map it straight into our system.
Yeah.
But the reality is with us, once you've got your candidates, and if you're working on the same pool of candidates and placing them out all the time, like some constructions or even healthcare workers are, once it's logged into our CRM, you've got all the information on that candidate. Do you need to be spending a lot of money on another CRM, that basically is feeding from one system to the other, and then you've got all the complications?
Yeah, no, I just skipped on as you were talking about CRMs there to the next slide, Mike, which sort of feeds into this. You've mentioned those in, potential integrations across various providers. We've named a couple there that we provide with, but like you say, if it's a system that can export CSVs, then we can import it into our side and do a bit of development work and make that work. So it's like I said, working a bit smarter and minimizing the sort of the duplication, because I know speaking to recruiters and prospects on a daily basis that the bane of their life is duplication of work. There's we're
Double
still
keying, yeah,
double keying, and still sort of moving away from in certain sectors, at least from the sort of the old school paper timesheets if it's a temp based business, to the sort of more electronic online versions. And the thing that takes up so much time is that double keying and making sure that one system is up to date with another. So if you can try and minimize that and utilize and maximize those integrations that are available, then why wouldn't you do that?
And Rich, we see a myriad of solutions out there, and everyone says, I don't think one actually does everything to 100% satisfaction for anybody.
No.
Okay, they all have their pluses and their minuses. But the one thing I would say is, make sure that when you're choosing a CRM, if you are up front, that you can get CSV reporting out of it, because usually most of the systems, if you can get a CSV file out of it, they can be mapped into another system. So that is my one piece of advice. Don't profess to be an expert on you can't be an expert on all of them because there's so many different providers out there. But yeah, if you can usually get, it's what you find easiest to work with. And actually you should also question that, because actually just because you used it in your previous business, does it work for when you're setting up in business or whatever? Don't just go down the same old. Take a look, okay? But again, we can actually put you in contact with clients of ours that are using various systems, and you can have a how did you find it, etc. Is it easy to load? All those bits and bobs, okay? And so hopefully we can A, map in with it, and B, make sure that you make the right decision. Because again, we've seen quite a few people where they spent all the cash flow to start off with on a CRM system, and yet hang on, there's nothing going out the door, so there's no revenue coming in. That's a crazy situation.
There's no one size fits all. I think that's the one thing to sort of reiterate. What works for one person won't work for another, and hopefully you're sort of seeing some sort of some really good nuggets of information here, but there may be other things that don't quite work for you because every business is different. I think it's about knowing the underlying numbers, as we've said, and making sure you have the sort of the reporting and the tech to be able to do that. But that may look very different from one company to another company based on the amount of, if you're a one-man band agency, sort of solopreneur, I think we call them these days, a sort of solo recruiter, you're not going to need the sort of as much management information. If you as a business who has a team of consultants and potentially need some HR support and sort of a wider range of accountancy functions. So it's going to vary wildly in terms of the amount of information you're going to need to get out of a system, and that will obviously reflect on what you need to put into it. So it's worth just making sure that what you've got in place works for you, and you're not just sort of doing what your neighbour's doing and sort of thinking, oh, that worked for them, that was successful, that's what I need to be doing. It's got to be right for you. So sort of coming towards the end now, we've got a bit of information on credit control as well, which feels like the underlying theme to everything we talk about on these webinars, and I think quite rightly, because it says it there, it's crucial to managing the cash flow within a business. We have a great credit control team that I can't sing the praises of enough, and they do a great job in managing our clients' ledgers, making sure that invoices are getting paid, but having a robust process. It makes all the difference. Like we've said earlier, if you don't have any cash, cash flow is poor, then you're going to struggle as a business.
Rich, even when we're funding it, okay, so basically if it becomes old, when we withdraw the funding off that and wait for it to pay off the insurance, so it will give you a cash flow impact. So it's important that you keep an eye on the credit control. We haven't sort of done, you can see again, you've got the pie chart on the right, which will show you, where who the big debtors are. Again, keep in managing, is that credit risk right? Okay, a lot of the credit control we do, we've mentioned it before, is basically on day one, has the debtor got everything it needs to pay? I.e. sign timesheets, correct purchase order number on there, etc., etc. So you will get paid, especially with larger debtors. Goes into the accounts department. As long as it all cross checks and ticks, you will get paid at that time. That's the majority of credit control we do. But then also it does go into depth with us, whereby in the background to this, it's all the credit control notes. So that Halo system, like whichever that customer is with the big blue pie chart on, big blue section of the pie chart, you can click on that and go straight in and see all the invoices that are outstanding, what's been allocated off, what money's been promised and coming in, down to the credit control notes of what they said, there and then. And that's really important, because it is very much a partnership working to get the credit control done. Okay, because again, you might be able to say, look, Mr. Buyer, can you kick the accounts department to make sure I get paid? They can pull those sort of strings, so it works in as a partnership. And we really do always work as a partnership with our customers. We know that there are others out there at the moment where they may have taken some bad debt as a funder, okay, etc. And there seems to be a very rigid 7-day written notice process after 7 days overdue, etc. No, we don't do that at all. It's a proper managed credit control business with a dunning cycle of letters and statements going out, and then telephone contact done in conjunction with you as the norm. Not just, oh, computer says no, we're now going to send out a final demand to your customer, because that will not stand you in good stead for winning new business.
No, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, couldn't have said it better myself. So we're fast heading towards 1 o'clock, so I think we should start to wrap up now. So look, thank you for joining us. Our contact details are on the screen, so hopefully you've sort of gained some valuable sort of bits of information there, and something that you'll be able to take away from this. But if there is anything that you'd want to pick up with us, or any sort of questions you've got around anything we've talked about today, or anything invoice finance, back office recruitment, then please do get in touch. Look out for the next webinar. We've got lots coming up across the giant group throughout June and beyond. So hopefully you'll join us again. But Mike, thank you as ever. And look, we'll see everybody next time.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Cheers now.
Cheers.
Bye.